Welcome back, everybody. Boy, is this a great episode with a brilliantly funny comedian, Ruby Setnik. This is her second episode of the DTFH. I've been taking her on the road. If you have a chance to see her out there, you must go see her perform. She is a star. And you can see her perform. This upcoming weekend, we will be performing at the Emerald City Comedy Club in Seattle. You can find tickets at DuncanTrussell.com. And now, everybody, welcome Ruby Setnik. Ruby, good to see you.
You too.
You know what? We were talking about this before the podcast, but I think I have a way to connect it to something I'd love to talk to you about.
Okay.
All right. So I mentioned this earlier. One of my kids likes that MGMT song that
Free falling.
boop, 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 boop. And so, you know, you hear songs over and over.
Yeah.
But you don't ever really explore the band or the song or anything about it, but it's omnipresent for a while. So I'm like, what the fuck is that song? And like I found out the craziest thing. MGMT were like two friends from college, and they were into weird fucking music. Like they're into like psychedelic, like 70s music and stuff. And so, yeah, pull up MGMT college performance. Yeah. So look at this. This is like before they really broke out. Now, I wish we could play the music. I guess we can. Whatever. Just check it out. Oh, wait, that's not it, Josh. That's a different song. Go back to the song that they... Kids, that's it. You might have to skip forward. So this, I'm pretty sure is like pre-fame. They're at Harvard. They've been playing music in like, you know, frat houses.
Are they Harvard students?
I think so. It's so cool. Like, you know, like now imagine.
It also feels like they're karaokeing their own song.
I could be. They might have already been famous. I'm not sure. But they were. What I read is they're in college together. I don't know the exact timeline here.
Oh yeah, they look young.
They're young. So this song, which you couldn't go anywhere in Los Angeles without hearing that song for like at least a year. Had already gotten popular around Harvard. People were listening to it. And then they go on tour with, I don't know, an already established band. And then after that tour, or whatever happened on the tour, their experience of touring, they were like, done. All right, we're done. One of them was maybe going to become a guitarist for the band.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody from Columbia Records saw them and was like, hey, we got to do an album. And that song, they wanted that song on the album. And they're like, no, we are so done playing that song. We wrote that song as
a joke.
As a joke. Did you know that?
Yeah, I do know this about MGMT.
They just wanted to make pop music. And they were like, I think it's easy to make a hit pop music song. And they make it. And it becomes one of the most famous songs.
That's so frustrating.
And they have to play it forever. What started as like a just, eye-rolly. Like
they went on to do that a few more times. Like they ended up in these, and I could be wrong about this, but I believe they ended up in like a contract that they didn't like and they felt spiteful about it. And so they were like, we have to write this additional album. So they just like jerked off and made like something that they thought was a joke. And then it was, again, a very successful,
yes,
like amazing piece of art.
They're like, oh, you want me to make trash?
Yeah,
you want me to trash? And the people like, yeah, okay, we'll fucking do that. And Columbia Records is like, great.
Yeah.
Oh, hurt our feelings. No, please don't make popular music.
Well, it's like when assholes try their best and when geniuses try their worst, I think it makes about the same type of thing.
Oh my
it like gets they just make middle of the road accessible stuff.
Yes. And so they released an album, which is what they wanted to make. And of course, it's not as popular. They knew it wasn't going to be as popular. The fans who would play this at sorority houses or whatever the fuck, they were horrified at the music that they made. That album is actually really good.
Yeah.
But so do you ever think about that like you don't want to be judgmental, you don't want to be cynical, but sometimes you sort of you do look out at the world and you realize, like, I think if I just had some kind of, like, I don't know, some combination of endurance and greed, that I could emulate pop culture, what's popular, chameleon myself into that, and produce something not because I want to make it, but for them it was satirical. But do you ever get that feeling of like you have to choose when you're making art between authenticity and commercialism? And do you think that there is a middle ground between the two? Or
I think unless you're constantly questioning yourself, you slip to the easiest one. And the easiest one is always the one that is the commercialized. Like I think the way that I experience it is like there's the path that's already been stomped on, and then there's the one that you make yourself. And you always end up on the one that's been stomped on, and you have to tear yourself away from it. I think, unless you're like a singular person who, like, the only path you insist on being yourself all the time. I'm not like that. I will chameleon a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I think that rude people have confused their rudeness with authenticity. I think and sometimes people think that, like, manners means being a sellout or something like that, or just general basic sensitivity to people around you.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you're inauthentic.
Yeah.
But don't you think, though, in some way, like, it's harder to do the commercial stuff? Like, in other words, like, if you're just there is something, I mean, easy, not commercial maybe, or profitable about making the things you want to make in the world.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But wouldn't you say, like, abandoning all that bullshit and just being like, you know what, I'm going to make something because I'm tired of, I want to fly around in private planes. I want health insurance. I don't want to.
I think I get what you're saying. I think that, yes, what you're saying is correct. Like, it's easier. It's, like, intuitively easier to be yourself in, like, as a baby, like the most like actual version of yourself, like the most truthful. Yes, that is, like, the easiest thing, but it's a hard thing to do. It's harder to listen to the easy voice, if that makes sense. Like, the voice that's telling you actually who you are and what you should be doing is softer and calmer, and the voice that is fucking freaking out is telling you to make it. Is giving you bad advice. It's not like the trustworthy voice, but it's definitely the louder voice. Yeah. I think it's easier to slip into a harder life ultimately, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yes, it is. And what a nightmare.
What a nightmare.
And because the very last thing you want is to be well received as something you're not.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it hurts. But people convince themselves that, and that's why I think that's what I'm talking about you have to constantly be interrogating yourself, because I think you forget what you want from it in the first place. You know what I mean? Because like the only way to do anything is doing it. That's the thing, right?
Right.
But there's so many peanuts around it, especially like with stand up, like what we do. But with anything, like any art form, anytime you're like expressing yourself, there's so much stuff around it that can trick you and you think that's the thing. You know what I mean? But that's actually just the business.
Yeah.
Which is so a different thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I can go live in the woods and be funny. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's just as good.
Right.
If not better, you know?
Well, yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. That is the, like, one of the easy mistakes you can make when you're, consuming art, whatever it is, is you can accidentally imagine that this is an actual meritocracy in the sense that you see whoever and you think that person has to be the funniest person or the most talented singer or the best actor.
Yeah.
And you just will never know.
No.
All the people in America, in the world, who are infinitely better than the best singer, your favorite singer.
But they won't make Instagram.
They won't make Instagram.
But you'll never know about them.
You'll never know about them.
It's tragic.
It's awesome,
it's
too.
Amazing.
Do they think it's tragic, though? A lot of those people...
No, I think it's tragic that they don't... I think that art at its best is like someone is expressing something truthful about themselves in an intelligent way so that it's delivered. It does at some point, I think, need to be delivered because the best possible end result of that is like catharsis and people don't feel so alone. And that's good. Like it's like art is like a connective experience. It like brings people, it like makes them okay with stuff that they're shameful about. And it's a conversation, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it's good when good art reaches a lot of people. But that being said, I don't think that that's good for good artists all the time. And it's usually really bad for them.
Right.
And that path, like the getting it through, it's like under capitalism, I think, is actually the ultimate issue. It always kind of turns into that. Or it has to if it's like massively produced, you know?
Right. You know what?
Strange.
That brings us to something. You've showed me one of my favorite things, which I have watched so many times now. Do you remember the name? Do you remember the name of how I could find it on YouTube easily? It's Elliott Smith
morning interview.
Elliott Smith morning interview. You know what? If like they demonetize us, it's fine, man. We'll just we kind of have to play it. So Ruby sends this to me when we're on the road. I don't remember why we were talking about Elliott Smith, but so this is actually in LA. Is what Aaron said. This is in LA. But somehow Elliott Smith ends up on this show. Elliott Smith, the gloomy bard of like the indie gloomy minstrel, ends up on this fucking crazy morning show. And just play it. It's the craziest shit I've ever seen.
His CD is entitled, not surprisingly, Elliott Smith. And it is on, now this is an intriguing label. Is this, are we getting this right? Kill Rock Stars?
That's right, yeah. It's a punk label.
Feeling a little hostile, are we, Elliott?
I mean, Jesus Christ.
Not your label? Oh, okay.
I wish it was.
Yeah, so back off.
You wish it was? Now, you say that...
Can you pause it for a second,
loud,
Josh?
Just
because we just... Okay, so, you know, the lead up to Easter is Lent, right?
Yeah, I know about Lent.
So Jesus goes out in the desert to be tempted to pray.
Yeah.
Buddha goes and is met with like Mara prior to enlightenment.
Yeah.
And whenever I've pictured Satan in the desert, sinister force. Mara, also sinister, dark. But I'm pretty sure like this is what the devil looks like.
this fucking guy.
This is like what this is more
khaki.
akin to what Lucifer is than anything I've ever seen.
You seem a little hostile, Elliott.
And this is some bizarre. It's not the first, and it won't be the last. But this is the beginning of several humiliation rituals that any artist is going to have to go through.
Morning time TV. And I like the Satan metaphor because every time I've done it, I felt like it was hell. And I couldn't imagine life after it.
Yes.
Or before it. Like when you're in it, it's like it feels like eternal suffering.
It feels crazy. And you know what they're calling this shit now is legacy media, because this is like this is a lineage that Lucifer here is part of a lineage that has its roots in like just some like in what used to be new technology and censorship and this idea of, you know, this guy. I mean, I don't know who he is. Maybe I'm wrong, but probably if you're doing a morning show or whatever the fuck this is, you're not thinking about authenticity. You're thinking, I got to get numbers to sell ads to make money. It's never even occurred to you that any of the shit we're talking about, you're just like, you've crystallized as part of this monolithic gatekeeping mechanism that in general will filter people like Elliott Smith. How many people more talented than Elliott Smith did one of these and was like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm going back under the fucking bridge, dude.
Oh,
I'm
yeah. Well, and
this
is such, and there's such duality. It feels like you're like making a cockroach hang out in the sunlight, you know? In the most beautiful way, like in the most loving way.
Very talented.
He's like fucking squirming in his dark hoodie and his purple hair. You know?
Talented cockroach who loves heroin.
Yeah.
Now let's keep playing.
Angry.
Yeah, some of it.
Yeah. Are you? Would you classify? Because I mean, this is sort of a circus-like environment to drag you into at this hour of the morning, and I'm wondering if there's a potential that any of us might come to physical harm.
I don't think, no, I don't think.
What's he fucking talking about?
Okay.
Meanwhile, there's like a cyborg lady behind him. It looks like there. I've seen like
she's so needlessly beautiful too. Why is she so gorgeous?
Gorgeous yet uncanny valley quality, and then you have some not a. Press pause again. By the way, it's like that fucking puppet behind him. Yeah, if you just glance at it, you could be like, all right, that is a terrifying. If I showed that to my kids, they would scream. You know what I mean? That's the puppet.
I never noticed that. It has a rotten tooth and a black eye.
Dude, yeah. And I don't mean to get conspiratorial here, but Josh, before we play this, pull up the Black Eye Club. You know about this, Ruby? Images. Find that montage people made.
What is this?
Oh, there it is. It's down there. There it is. So all these people, you ever gotten a black eye?
No.
Me either. All these, see the Black Eye Club who is punching them on Instagram? This is a really funny conspiracy theory, which is all of these famous people, politicians and powerful people. Can you enlarge any of those? They all have black fucking eyes. They go, it's like they all get black eyes. And people think that there's some initiatory mechanism.
You get punched in one of your eyes?
And yeah, they punch the shit out of you to like when you get in the club. I know. So go back. Let's look at that puppet. I'm telling you, Ruby. Look, Black Eye Club. This is the beginning. Okay. It's showing him. This is them inviting him in. He represents and recently initiated. And you almost look at that puppet and you're like, is that puppet like Elliott Smith? All right, now press play.
No, it's not. It's not really folk, but it's sort of like.
This episode of the DTFH is brought to you by my dear friends at Turtle Beach. New sponsors, new friends, because they just sent me the Turtle Beach Stealth 700. Oh my God. If you're looking for a new gaming headset, this is it, friends. If you play on consoles, it just works. I got it working on my PlayStation instantaneously, and sure, go ahead and roll your eyes and say, that's no big deal. You're probably not 51. You probably don't have dogs and children rampaging around you. You don't understand. Try to connect headphones in a cyclone of life that you love. That's what my experience every day is. And I could just do it. It just worked. These are awesome headphones. I haven't messed with gaming headphones in a while, so I got to experience that. Like, oh my God, maybe the singularity really is coming. You feel like you're in the space. It's fully immersive. And these headphones have crossplay, meaning that my old ass can easily switch between them and my computer and my phone, meaning you can go from playing a video game to listening to music on your phone easily, no problem. And they look cool. The only problem with them is that, and this is really bad. Sometimes at the end of the day, my wife likes to talk to me about, like, I don't know, lots of things, babies, lots of stuff about her friends about babies and babies and babies and babies and babies and stuff about how to take care of babies and how great babies are and how cute babies are. And the noise canceling on these headphones made it so I couldn't hear her wonderful stories about her friends' babies that I love to hear so much. And I guess that's the only bummer is like, yeah, I just couldn't hear it at all. Couldn't hear it. Just the only thing I could hear was Elden Ring. Just the peaceful, beautifully orchestrated world of Elden Ring. So I don't know. I'll reach out to them and see how I can get the noise canceling down. Because boy, I sure don't want to miss any more baby stories. They're incredible. Head to turtlebeach.com. Use code Duncan for 10% off your entire order. That's 10% off your order at turtlebeach.com with promo code Duncan. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please, for the love of God, support our show and tell them we sent you. Get the ultimate immersive gaming experience with Turtle Beach today. I love Turtle Beach. Please, if you're thinking about getting gaming headsets, do use the offer code. I want more stuff from them. I'm sorry, Turtle Beach, if that makes me seem greedy, but I love your stuff. Been using it for a long time. Thank you, Turtle Beach.
What's the symbolism of that?
I just feel like that, because obviously that we talked about that. It's like you couldn't write that in a movie. You know what I mean? If someone was going to die by probably suicide later on, that is how you would foreshadow it. And it feels like, and I said this to you because whenever I watch this, it feels like a recording of just a nightmare that Elliot is having about his own life, you know?
This is like as he's dying, this is like he hallucinates this.
This is the hallucination, which is why I feel this is the type of shit that makes me believe in God a little bit. It's like, this is the type, because it all feels like we're in this big dream soup, you know, and like things are just like mirroring each other. It's way too poetic and it's way too writ to feel random. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. To be like, you're getting jeered and mocked at, and he's having to just, whatever he's doing right now is like, he's beginning to like, this is the same thing that happened to MGMT. This is like MGMT realizing like they're good. This song that they made mocking pop music will become what they're known for forever. And he's also, I think, recognizing like that this is his future. This is at least a year of doing shows like this. He's probably thinking a little bit about his publicist right there. He's like, I'm paying this bitch $15,000 a month and she sent me to this fucking piece of shit. Why is he asking me that? How do I react to this? All right, let's hit play.
I don't know, it just looked good.
Yeah. The stunt people didn't think so. What do you guys think first from the CD?
They're all like, holy shit, he's so good.
Shut them up.
I know.
Look at this guy. He's regretting everything he said.
Everything he said.
She's like, look at her. All of them.
Cyber Babe is just, I don't know. I'm so confused by Cyber Babe.
I don't think here in 2025 we can call her Cyber Babe.
That's what he called her. Cyber Babe. It's so good. Josh, pull up like sex.
Pull up sex. Josh, pull up sex.
Josh, pull up sex robot, sex android. I mean, is that what she was going for? Because for a second, that's an android. Pull up the real doll. Right there, this. I mean, like.
I wouldn't click on that website.
Real silicondolls24.com.
I guess it's okay.
So go back to Cyberbabe. One more over.
She does have uncanny valley.
She's kind of uncanny
valley. But that's
valley.
kind of what happens when someone is very beautiful. They don't look real. And they become not attractive, in my opinion. That's why I don't like people in New York.
I just noticed that there were moments where she send me that website, Josh.
Josh, save that website.
But this it's crazy that in our world there is this bizarre boundary between us finding out about people like that and people like that. A terrible maze that has to be navigated. There's no way around it. And the gatekeepers within that maze are like just like that guy making fun of this tortured genius. Not all of them are like that, but there's just all these, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Why is this built in? You're saying capitalism?
I do think that that's the thing that you're getting at. It's like if once you make it so that the way that you make something happen is that it has to have money around it. That's when it's just commercial. That's literally what it is, I think, right? Like I don't really have the vocabulary to describe what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, right.
But like that you force it to be something that it's not because it has to be palatable enough to sell. You know what I mean? It has to be succinct enough to sell or describable enough to sell.
Yeah.
And so it changes. Its nature has to change, right?
It has to be packaged.
Packaged, yeah.
Yeah, and then
it has to be succinct.
And you need, and so it all seems quite logical, you know, in the sense that because this is the way it's always been.
Yeah.
When you find yourself contending with that, you're not. Even though you don't quite understand why it feels so fucked up that some of the things you're dealing with feel kind of crazy and fucked up. You are just thinking, but who the fuck am I to question this system? Like what am I? Who do I think I am that I should question the system? That was the exact same system David Bowie went through, Mick Jagger went through.
Well, I don't know, but then you think about like, what's the difference because I know I said it's good for the art to reach more people, but I actually don't know if that's true. Because I think about like before the system kind of that we have now and like late stage capitalism and whatever. Like if we were in a small, how many people, they always say like 200 people in a community back in the early times, right? Like, and Elliott Smith was in our community, it would be fine. And he'd just live in the cave at the top of the mountain. And we'd leave, cheese and dead goats for him.
Yeah.
And every once in a while he'd crawl out and he'd grab it and he'd play a song and we'd think about it for a year. You know what I mean? And it would be fine.
Yeah.
That would just be the world. But now it's like you have to like take someone like Elliott Smith and the market economy and like smash them together.
Yeah.
Of course it looks disgusting and strange, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I would argue like that is what it's like anytime you take like the mushy human form and try to like make it work in like a bureaucratic system, Well, yeah, it's like a weird thing.
It's like when you get a call from the phone company after your mom died.
Exactly.
And they're like, they're really late on the bill.
It's like the Apple, it's like the pin pad transaction after you have a child or whatever.
Exactly. Oh my God. That is exactly. That's the craziest collision of things, which is when your partner's about to give birth. Yeah. And you're terrified. Josh, pull up my Aaron giving birth second child.
Josh, pull up the robot sex.
Hour 3. Pull up robot giving birth.
Pull up robot giving birth.
Can you pull up a robot giving birth, Josh?
Okay.
Actually, see if you can find that.
Okay. Okay, I will.
But yeah, that's the the hospital attitude. Yeah. Oh yeah, there you go, Victoria.
Pregnant robot gives birth. This is we've got to fetish porn. That's fetish
Let's
porn.
pull that up, Josh.
Go ahead and pull that up, Josh.
Meet Victoria.
Oh. Wrong one.
Meet Victoria. She blinks, breathes, and bleeds
She's
just
up.
like you. She's also pregnant and about to undergo an emergency C-section. Victoria, how are you feeling?
I'm not feeling well.
No.
No,
Why'd
but
they
she's
put a
coming
gose of
soon,
a
don't
Victorian child inside of that pregnant robot doll?
I'm sure everything will be fine.
Oh my
Victoria
God.
is a
What
top-of-the-line
what are they on
patient
her eyes?
simulator, and this is a crisis exercise.
Can you
for the
pause it, Josh? Pull up sex robot, please, Josh. I just want to point something out here. Sex robot. Yeah, pull up any of those. That's good. That's actually that's based on the crew that went up to space. Isn't that interesting how quickly they made that? Isn't that cool? Actually, that's them. No, that's Jeff Bezos' office. They
look like they're in birthing position.
But okay, now pull up the pregnant top of the line robot again, and let's do a compare and contrast. Go back to that. You're gonna tell me that's top of the line? Go back to the sex robot. How the fuck can they do that? And you've got this it's a mannequin. Somebody put a tape recorder in a mannequin head, and
they did put a recorder in a head.
I don't. Okay, keep playing. I want to see it give birth. What's weird is it gives birth to a real baby.
Different roles in a multidisciplinary way. Nurses can be doctors, doctors can be nurses. Novices learn how to manage crisis without the fear of harm to the patient.
This is all real, functioning medical equipment, and Victoria responds to everything as a human would, with a little help from someone just beyond
I
the
don't have
one-way glass,
insurance!
who controls Victoria's
I can't afford
symptoms
this!
and responses wirelessly via laptop.
Sometimes we come into here and we don't know the scenario, and it's like a real life situation. Having an environment like this where we can
oh my
learn,
God.
I could have done better, man. What the fuck? Oh my God.
I think actually what could be really good for society is if we changed out the sex robots to have that face.
Oh, can you?
And her to have the sex robot face.
Can you imagine? Go back to the robot babies. Look at this. Oh my God. That'd be a fun prank.
That's accurate though. That's
exactly what they look like.
Realistic
as possible. Crazy.
And Victoria has a family, other life-sized patient simulators.
Adult males do have amputated limbs that actively bleed.
What is that for?
Our pediatric simulators can simulate bee stings or anaphylaxis, things that a parent would normally experience.
Wow.
And right down to actually premature infants.
And when things go well, Victoria delivers a baby.
I want to hear her talk
Meet
one more time.
Tori. As you can
That was
hear,
a C-section.
Victoria's baby cries and feels and moves like a real infant.
That thing's haunted.
Within
least baby
5
Tori
minutes of
doesn't need to be
Victoria's
fed.
baby being born,
That
we've
may be in
injected
the
it with
works for
17
next
different
year's model.
vaccines and sprayed poison in its eyes.
Oh my God.
But that is definitely another example of this collision between eternal beauty and whatever the fuck
we're doing
right now, which we are calling late stage capitalism. But
yeah.
Don't you think calling it late stage capitalism is kind of optimistic?
Because it's about to end, yeah. Or that's the implication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like people who say that have some fantasy that this is late stage. This might be
that is my fantasy.
Opening phase capitalism.
Oh, God.
Why do you think it's late phase?
Because I don't think it can sustain itself. I don't think you can have this much misery. I don't know, but I'm brand new and I don't read the news and I don't even read at all.
You don't. I call it that just as a term of convenience because you want to come up with you want to name whatever it is.
The thing is.
So you say late stage.
Yeah.
And then I get yelled at because it's like capitalism is, you don't know what you're talking about. You're talking about you shouldn't mix up classism with capitalism or something. Like capitalism is just a method of exchanging goods and services.
Yeah.
It's not.
I guess the idea is that once it gets past a certain stage, it always turns into a class issue.
Yeah, Marxism. That's
Yeah.
like Marxism's.
Yeah.
That's the Marxist critique of capitalism. I think.
I think so.
Is pretty much like you just the way that's going to work is how would you say it? It's like you've deprioritized the worker.
Yeah.
And prioritized the person who owns the means of production. You deprioritize the person living in the house and prioritize the person owning the house that people are living in. And because of that, that the money or the way that whatever the symbol set is for the transactions flows up, not down. It's always going to be a bad deal. Right. And so therefore, at some point, I think Marx did say that it can't sustain itself. It will end.
Yeah.
But
I'm hopeful that it's all gonna.
Well, what do you replace it with?
I don't know. I guess, and this is the thing is whenever I complain about like fascism or whatever the thing is, whenever I complain about that, people are like, well, all systems are bad. All systems
Oh, yeah,
are
that's
fascism.
a weak argument.
I know. But I feel like that's always what I get when I like complain about conservatism. They're like, oh, well, everything's fascism eventually. It's like, okay, well, then we should talk about that because that's a problem too. You know what I mean?
I think it's more of a problem of definitions.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna do it, but I've honestly this is like ideas I don't do on the podcast, but I really did kick around the idea of finding somebody to play an actual Nazi fascist who is offended that the term Nazi is being used so liberally. You know what I mean? Because I do think like Hitler and the Nazis would take offense that a lot of like what they might view as
that we're using Nazi derogatorily.
That is not you're totally wrong about National Socialism. Whatever the fuck that is not national. That's not us.
Yeah.
And fascism too, I think it's just I think what's happening is muddled terms. And in that, and also what's happening on both sides is an immediate rejection of interrogating what's happening. Like if just the very act of looking around and being like, boy, it feels like there's a better way to do this.
Well, I think just like the primary emotion in society and like in my personal life lately feels like anger. And when I was like way younger person, I always felt like anger wasn't like if the metaphor is like primary colors and secondary colors, like anger is not a primary emotion. It's a secondary emotion. It's always a result of a primary emotion being suppressed, and then that turns into anger.
Oh, wild.
I'm not getting that from anything. It's just how I've always felt.
As a parent, let me tell you.
You don't think
anger is a primary emotion.
I think you can trick yourself. Like you don't because the babies are feeling upset.
Yeah, they're unfiltered and they get mad.
But it's because the need isn't being met, and the need represents a more primary emotion. Or it's like anger is like sadness over time that isn't being dealt with. And for a baby, the time scale is smaller.
They just get pissed.
It just goes right to pissed.
They get pissed, and because it's just a way of the problem with anger, and I get why people it's so dangerous because some people feel like they're malfunctioning if they're angry, or something must be off with me, or I shouldn't express it, or the expression of anger in an unbridled way is a failure as a human. And then you just get the repressed. You get people who stuff all their anger down, and then like it comes out in surprising moments at weird times.
Totally. And I think I don't trust it. Like whenever anybody's like really angry about something, I think that there's something underneath it. Like something like when it like I get that the trans stuff is hard and it takes it takes people a while to warm up to new ideas. But whenever guys are like super angry about like trans women, I'm like, oh, that's what you jerk off to. That's the only way you can come. I think, you know what I mean?
I mean, I'm not arguing with you here, but like it is impossible for me to jerk off and not be angry, no matter
that's exactly my point. I think that like
furious.
I think that like horniness for men, it makes them, because it takes up so much of men's time and so much of their thoughts, that whatever it is that they jerk off to makes them angry, because they wish that they could read a book. You know what I mean? They wish they could take a walk.
That's why I jerk off to books.
That's yeah, I know.
Just library
it's
pictures.
Fucking disgusting.
I can't read.
You keep trying. I can't borrow books from you.
I can't read. That's why I'm so angry at books. But I
don't even know what I'm talking about.
No, I think what you're talking about is really, like, I love thinking these things, because I like it's the deconstruction of whatever the current cultural obsessions are, and the positive and the negative, like having the courage, not just to like analyze why this is wrong to me, but then why is it right to them?
Yeah.
Put yourself in their shoes, whatever it may be, or high heels in some people's case. Like try to take all of your potentially justifiable critiques of something that you have seen. Don't even worry about the sources. Let's just take your sources, whatever they are, even though if you've been getting shit from like some slanted algorithm, fuck it. Just let's imagine all that's real.
Yeah.
But then, do you have the ability to go to the other side?
Yeah.
And completely understand that side too, and why?
Yeah.
And because even if they're wrong, let's take something a little less like culturally relevant.
Sure.
Witch burning.
Yeah.
That was real.
Yeah.
You would find a woman.
Yeah.
Drag her out of her house.
And just burn her.
You torture her first.
Yeah.
You'd torture her until she admitted.
Yeah.
That she would like kissed a goat's ass under the full moon and had been casting spells on the village, and then you would incinerate her.
Yeah.
And so we hear that.
Yeah.
And we're like, wow, people were so fucking stupid back then.
Yeah.
But they weren't doing it like LARPing.
Yeah. And you can't blame, because the instinct is to be like, well, it's the fucking phones. And I do think that that adds like a lubricant to like mob mind and stupidity. It's easier to hate through the cell phone. That's not a new thing to say. And I'm reminded of it all the time, kind of, with what I do and the people that I meet. But like, we've always been worse as a group. like we used to burn women because they read books. You know what I mean? Like, we used to get together in the town, not because of Facebook, not because like Instagram, not because of like a dirty algorithm or Zuckerberg or whatever, but we as a group with our feet on earth after a long day of thinking all day. We just had all day to think and work. Decided it was time to burn a woman at 6 p.m. after supper, which was made out of grains. We didn't have plastics in our brains. We've always been a flawed species.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
And like, it's when you look back at, or you watch some, like, I don't know, movie of, there was a great movie, The Witch, I think. When you look back at like any the Witch, when you look back at whatever those moments are, at least when I do that, you don't realize that those people actually thought they had to do that. They believed they had to do that. There was a real sense of, this is the right thing to do.
And I think it takes a special type of autism to go against the grain. You know, you always have the people. There are always the people who like hide the Jews, or like are like, actually, I have slaves, but I don't think it's good. You know what I mean? There are like these people who go against the grain, and they're weird and they're one-offs because whatever thing in their brain is different, and they're not as susceptible to like the weirdness of the group mind that allows us to treat people really horribly, you know?
you know, the current Pope, or the late Pope, he was controversial, right?
I do know that, but I don't know a lot about it.
Pull up Pope
Pull up the
takes
sex
question from sex robot.
Sex
pull
Pope?
pull up Pope takes question from non-binary teen. See if we can find it. Scroll down, I'll know when I see it. Pope takes, maybe they might have actually said queer. Pope takes question from like
a queer.
Pope takes question from twink. Queer twink. Pope takes question from queer twink. It was like
Pope graciously takes a question from a fucking queer.
Well, it wasn't what you would expect if you okay, like, yeah, play just any of those. Like, this is why people got pissed off at
Ser homosexual no es un delito. Es una condición humana. Somos todos hijos de Dios.
Oh, wait, I should read this. Go back to the beginnings of people who don't speak Italian are like, what? He's saying being homosexual isn't a crime. It's a human condition. We are all children of God. And God loves us as we are. And for the strength that each one of us has to fight for our dignity, being homosexual is not a crime. It's not a crime. Let's make this distinction first between sin and crime. But it's also a sin to lack charity with one another. So what about that? So, that, it was like a lot of people like, no, you can't fucking say that. And you know, I've been watching all these things with this particular Pope, and it's the like, I don't know if he was like a saint, but the consistency in what he was saying over and over and over again was, God loves you, and this divisive mode of thinking between people is, he didn't say it like this, but is fucking everything up.
Yeah.
And he was like, just always, he was some kid, you know, a Catholic kid who was like, I guess, gay, or I don't know what he's calling himself, but you know, asked the Pope about this, and his response was, these people who are saying this stuff that you're asking about he called them infiltrators. And so there you have the fucking Pope.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, that is, you know, one of the great Christian leaders on planet Earth.
Yeah.
Which is why when he died, Marjorie Taylor Greene, pull up that shit Marjorie Taylor Greene posted after the Pope died.
On Twitter?
I think it was on Twitter. This episode of the DTFH has been supported by Lucy. These are wonderful nicotine pouches. Lucy breakers have an extra surprise. Each pouch holds a capsule that can be broken open to release extra flavor and hydration. They taste really good. I like Lucy Wintergreen, and also I'm a weirdo, and I've always enjoyed, like in the spy movies, you know, when they crunch the cyanide pill. This is like the opposite of that. Like, you get to pretend you're like a spy, crack down on that thing, but instead of getting cyanide and falling to the floor, dead or unconscious, you get an extreme blast of hydration and flavor. It's the perfect addition to something that was already perfect. If you haven't tried them, you should. Also, there's something really weirdly satisfying about that crunch. You know I'm a nicotine man, a nicotine pouch man. My endorsement, the nicotine pouch, I don't give it lightly, but I hereby award Lucy with the DTFH Triple Diamond Nicotine Pouch award. There's only 3 diamonds in it. Top tier nicotine pouch. You get the flavor, you get the, and it's nice. Mixes things up a little bit. Also, they're great. And they don't make me puke like some other pouches do. Gentle, delicious, 100% pure nicotine. Let's level up your nicotine routine with Lucy. Go to lucy.co/family hour and use promo code family hour to get 20% off your first order. Lucy has a 30-day refund policy if you change your mind. Again, that's lucy.co and use code family hour to get 20% off of these incredible pouches. And here comes the fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. Warning! This product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Huh, I didn't know that. Today, there were major shifts in global leaderships. Evil is being defeated by the hand of God.
Wow.
That's that evil that she is talking about is a guy who is saying we have to find a way to love each other for our differences.
Yeah, it's really simple. Well, I think that because it's interesting, and I've been curious about.
I know you like Marjorie Taylor Greene, and this wasn't a personal attack.
No, I've been curious about organized religion as a way of imposing structure upon yourself in like a good way. Like being a person who has like morals and values and like reads a book and sits in a room every week with a group of people facing the same direction and thinking about God. And I think it's good. And I've felt frustrated in the past, like when I was a younger person, I would have frustrations of like, why do people need God to be good? And like all of these questions. But now I'm like, I need a father. You know what I mean? Like it is like, but anyways, the point is that I've been learning about Catholicism, and it's actually it's more optimistic than I understood. Cause like there's the Lutheran thing of like grace if you're Lutheran, grace is like, the metaphor is that it's like you're basically cow shit and you're bad. By being on earth and being human, you're bad.
Original sin.
And then grace is like the way that you paint yourself so that God's view of you is good, so that he just has a good thing to look at. Like he has a good view out of his window. It's like the snow on the cow shit that makes it just like nice for God to look at you. Whereas Catholicism is more like you're born onto the earth. You're beautiful and you're made of love and you're perfect, but then you're born. And that's a bit of a tumble.
Yeah.
Like you tumble and it bruises you up and you get fucked up.
Yeah.
Just by being born.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And then life is about redemption.
Yeah.
And so the way that I've been thinking about that is that, like, from the Catholic perspective, but this isn't even about Catholicism. It's about a way of looking at things and people, which is that, like, everything is misery. And then love is just the way through it.
Yeah.
Kind of. And that is beautiful. And I like that. And the only way that I've ever found optimism to be palatable is in a box of pessimism. And I've talked to you about that. I think that's what makes you great, is that you make hope palatable by like being kind of like funny and shitty and like sarcastic around it. And then underneath that, you're saying something hopeful. And that's the only way that you can take it. Otherwise, it's just not believable.
Yeah, well, I do think that's, I agree with you. And I think, of course, of all the things, of like Christianity in general is so misunderstood. But of course, Catholicism is going to be misunderstood.
Yeah, because it's culty.
Yeah, and it's like it's strict, it's formal, it's, it can be, depending on what mass you go to, it can be boring as fuck. It is
really boring. It's not like church where
there's all kinds of sort of like aspects to it where you look at like these mega churches and it's like some kind of insane Broadway production. It's trying to like keep you entertained, whereas Catholicism is not like that.
Have you met a lot of because you're Catholic, so you've met. Sorry, is that
my wife is Catholic?
Your wife is Catholic.
Yeah.
Have you met Catholic priests?
Yeah.
They're so charismatic.
They are.
Because they have to, because that's the job. And then some of them are like I met one recently who's like jacked. He's like jacked. And I realized, that's the only way that they're trustworthy, actually.
Well,
like if he wasn't
jacked. You don't
jacked,
trust them if they're not ripped?
No, because then they're a pedophile. For sure. You know
wait,
what I mean?
Hold on a second. Everything just fell apart.
They're fucking boys
so wait,
if they're not jacked.
You're saying if the priest is not ripped, he's a pedophile?
Absolutely. Or he's fucking late. He's fucking someone. He's fucking someone.
Okay, help me out here.
If he's a priest and he's still a priest and he's doing his duty and he's not jacked, where's that energy going?
This is the craziest shit I've ever heard in my life. So, okay, wait. Walk me through. Okay, first, let me just say, in the priest class in general, I don't mean just Catholicism, Episcopalians, rabbis, I don't care who they are, shamans, gurus. One expectation I have never had is for them to have a six-pack. I've never been like, dude, your shaman's a fucking weakling.
Now that I've told you this, you're going to notice that like 50% of them do. And the 50% of them that don't are probably pedophile. You're going to think to yourself, oh yeah, he kind of seems like a pedophile. Because think about it, Duncan, if you had to just sit around with your balls all the time and you just couldn't come and you weren't working out, the cum has to go somewhere. It either goes into your
Why does it have to be a kid?
No, not a kid
There's
necessarily.
so many things to fuck on the planet.
No. It's not that he's a pedophile. I'm just saying that he's not being a good priest if he's not working out. And then they tend to do pedophilia.
Have you ever heard anything like this before?
Do you understand the point that I'm making?
Jesus was ripped.
Jesus was ripped.
Jesus was not ripped.
So my Jesus was.
Pull up a picture. Pull up. There are ripped Jesuses. Pull up.
But this is why it becomes a thing when people choose to like sexually repress themselves. It gets out in a weird way.
There's Ruby's
not a
Jesus.
Pedophile. And I'll stand by that. And I stand by that. Jesus is not a pedophile. You can quote me on that.
Look.
Pull up the sex robot.
Look. That's your God.
Because he's dealing with his abstinence correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
that's what I mean.
Okay.
Like if I'm saying that it's not one or the other, but there's a spectrum of being a pedophile to being jacked within priesthood.
The one critique of pretty much all forms of monastic Christianity, especially even Jesus that I've heard, which is kind of tough to argue with, is it's like if you don't have such relationships, are such a huge part of the human experience. Like knowing intimacy at that level is such a huge part of the human experience. And so the argument is like, don't you need to know the full spectrum of what it is to like be a human being if you're going to offer
any sort of advice or counsel
to people, you know, like you need that. And and this has, I think, been a debate in the Catholic Church, hasn't it, Josh? Aren't the priests always sort of, isn't there some faction of the Catholic Church that is pushing towards non-celibacy laws?
Yes. Church. Let me look it up.
But there's an argument too that like they have a clearer perspective on human relationships because
it changed.
The AI overview, you guys, is not trustworthy. It's word salad.
Go down to clerical celibacy in the Catholic Church. Let's scroll down a little bit. In February 2019, the Vatican acknowledged that the policy has not always been adhered to and that rules have been secretly established by the Vatican to handle clergy who violated their vows of celibacy. Some clergy have been allowed to retain their clerical status after violating their vows of celibacy and even after secretly marrying women. Prefect for the Congregation for Clergy, Cardinal Benjamino Stella, also acknowledged that child support and transfer have been two common ways for such clergy to maintain their clerical status. And yeah, so this is like this is definitely, to me, seems like something that would benefit the church.
If the popes could fuck.
Well, yeah, if they could get married, if they could experience what it's like to like, be in a rough spot in a marriage, if they could experience what it's like to, just all the stuff that goes along with like marriage or dating or any of the stuff that the people that they're talking to are going through, they would probably be more effective.
That makes sense. But at the same time, it's like if you want effective, scientifically proven counsel, that's more the place of a therapist, I think. And
you think so?
Yeah. But I mean, it's an issue because within the conservatism that is people who go to church are more likely to not really buy into the practice of therapy or whatever because of the weird. But I think what I'm saying is like, there is an argument to be made for like innocence leading to a type of knowledge, like the way that like someone who's never written a song before, so they don't know any of the rules, and so they are more likely to make a mistake that is something that's actually new,
right,
and maybe even more beautiful than if they're like classically trained or something. Well, so like there is something to be said about like, it's like if a baby could talk.
I disagree with that. I think that, though, not to brag, I did study psychology in school, and I do think, I do think that
show them the certificate.
Where's my certificate?
This one's mine. I don't have yours.
What the fuck?
I think
you got to keep my certificate around. Hold on one second.
You gotta keep my certificate around. Josh, you gotta keep.
I apologize.
I went to put it on the wall.
My wife and I went to a priest and got some counseling.
Oh,
I loved it. He said that I am the leader of the house. She needs to listen to me, and I was like, "This is great."
Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. Now look.
Why'd you put your sunglasses?
Yeah, when I hold my certificate, I put on my sunglasses. So this is a certificate, friends. This says this certifies that Doug Trussell is an expert in physics, computing, history, art, geopolitics, philosophy, etc.
It says etc. And it does say etc.
So anyone out there listening to this who like feels like I first of all, are you certified, Ruby?
No.
Okay.
Not in etc.
There we go. So uncertified person talking. Certified person is now talking.
He printed this out. The paper is more thin than toilet paper.
Could I also point? Okay. All right. That's exactly what you're going to get from the uncertified. This is a blue ribbon. It's blue. But you know what that means, first place. No, it does.
You're number one in certificates.
No, it means it's a
You're
real
number one in fake certificate
it's
making.
It's not fake. What?
It is fake.
Oh, really?
I just saw it crumble.
Can you put your hand through it?
You barely whispered.
It's clearly
what does
real.
That mean?
It's taking up time space. So it's real. This is a real certificate. This is like totally.
You're
this
such
is where
a shitbird about your certificates.
You
specifically.
left this. Here's the problem with the.
You're great. You're like a great guy. And
this is the disease that has overtaken the modern leftist. Is your postmodernist questioning of reality has led to literally. I have a certificate right here, holding it up. It blocks my face. Hello.
That doesn't make sense.
So therefore, this is.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Hello.
It literally says certificate.
Josh is holding it.
And Josh, show me yours.
Well, I don't have a camera,
but mine says Josh. That's a certificate. It says, what is it? May I ask?
Yeah.
What does that say?
It says of expertise.
No, this right here.
It says certificate. I know it says certificate.
No, you didn't even want to say it. Busted. It says certificate. Because you said this is not a certificate.
I didn't say that it is not a certificate.
You did. Josh, playback.
I said that it's thin paper.
No,
you printed out.
You said this is not a certificate. It is. Oh, so what do you think? Where do they print certificates at?
I don't know.
What do you think they manifest?
At Harvard.
They appear once a person. No, this is a real certificate
etc.
of expertise, and I'm an expert. But no, I think that.
But I see what you're saying. I don't want counsel from someone who's never had sex before, unless they're jacked. In which case, I'm like, okay, you're dealing with your sperm. I'll talk to you.
But I think that maybe there's also like in the modern sort of secular world, there is this rejection of the priest class, which has been a fundamental element in human society in some way, shape, or form. The mystic, the shaman, the whatever, and the spiritual advisor are way older than therapists.
Yeah.
And in that, the other thing that is like, especially with Catholicism or Christianity or any of these things, is like, until you participate in it, like it's like licking the outside of a jar that has honey in it. You're not gonna, it's all gonna seem weird. None of it will make sense.
Yeah.
It will all seem justifiably so.
Yeah.
Or the critique of, a lot of times when I get it, like when I'm like on Reddit and there's like the inevitable, tap dancing on the grave of God, how awful, this religion or that religion is. And I read the comments, you realize like, oh my, that Christianity that they are rejecting, if that was Christianity,
I'm also rejecting
you should
it.
fucking reject that for real. And then it's like, oh, they've sort of woven together a version of a thing that isn't even it.
Well, we don't do a lot of dramatic acknowledging without religion in society, that we don't have structures that sort of, dramatically acknowledge the fucking misery of life. You know what I mean? It's all just like, it's okay, go to work, take care, it's gonna be, go do your thing, make sure to put your shoes on.
Yeah.
And at no point, unless you're going to church, is someone like, God's watching. This choir of children is singing beautifully, and the candles are melting, and we're all in a big room with high ceilings thinking about death.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think it's good.
And then you get then the bottom drops out, because that, that's the craziest moment in like any kind of temple, but Christianity, where, I would reckon that unless you're born into it and really like got lucky with whoever was articulating it to you, you're rejecting it.
Yeah.
And so, but for whatever reason, for a lot of people, it's quaint, it's interesting. Maybe you just feel like you want to be around people.
Yeah.
But you're still playing around the idea that this is just a quaint form of primitive, like, imaginary. I'm not saying you're literally thinking that, but at some level you might be like, okay, you're a little imaginary Jesus friend, but I kind of want to be around people.
Yeah.
And then it's like a fucking tiger pounces on you and you feel something real. And then
like the love of Jesus Christ.
And then you have to reckon with that. And that part of your mind that has been telling you that the default reality, secularist world is the most sophisticated form of human existence. It has to reckon with the experiential reality of whatever the particular thing is. It's inevitably way older than some passing fashion.
Definitely.
And then you're fucked.
Yeah.
Now you're really fucked, because it's like, if the whole concept of interacting with reality is truth, we must live according to our own truth.
Yeah.
And then you experience something that is maybe the least cool thing. You loving Jesus.
Yeah.
That is not cool.
It's not punk rock.
That is so embarrassing. Like, really? And your
keep that to
smartest
yourself.
friends are going to like just be like, are you okay?
Yeah.
You need to get the fuck out of Texas.
Because you feel loving Jesus in you?
No, because you have to deal with my own experience with that is it's embarrassing. Like, because for me,
because loving anybody's embarrassing too.
Yeah, and now you're gonna like act, and it's certainly not unique. It's one of the biggest world religions. So but for me, it's just you have to deal with that part of you that thought this was bullshit and thought you were actually right, and like the majority of the planet was just
Can you tell me?
cultists.
Because right now my thing is that I feel guilty all the time. And what do you, from what you've learned in your long life of talking to interesting people, can I know your thoughts about like redemption and self-forgiveness? Do we have time for that?
Yeah.
Pull up the sex robot.
You can pull up the sex robot. Let me show you. It's a forgiveness bot, and she is beautiful. No, well, the Friends, they say that the unreleased dream will gradually just destroy you. The unactualized dream. It lives inside of you like a piranha stuck in an old ham, chained to the floor of a cursed lake. And eventually, if you don't find a way to get that piranha out of your ham chest, it's going to devour you. That's your dream. Samuel Taylor Coleridge who said that. Sometimes just taking that first step is all it takes. You might see a dam, think to yourself, wow, that dam is very powerful. Then you get a little closer and you realize, holy shit, I think if I just move that brick, I could take this whole dam down, flood the valley, teach the farmer, took my wife a lesson about why not to mess with me, show him what justice is, turn his farm into a cursed lake, throw some piranhas and old hams in there, like the Coleridge poem. And sometimes a little step is all it takes. And sometimes that little step is making a beautiful website. Squarespace, thank you for supporting my podcast for so long. It's such a great service. Why are you sleeping on it? Why are you sleeping on your dream? I'm serious. You got to have some kind of online presence. And let me tell you, you don't want to go down the dark path of trying to build your own website using some kind of HTML software. God help you finding a web designer. At least try Squarespace first. You're going to be shocked. I've used it recently to build a website. I do check on it from time to time because there's always new innovations that they've applied to it. It's always been great, but now you can put your social media feeds on it. You can have a paywall up if you want to do that. Obviously, like you can sell merch. It's got a million options for people to, for all the various services out there for people who want to buy your stuff. And even better, it now has this incredible AI that will help you like through all of the steps that can be somewhat tedious in the creation of a website. I just used them like 5 months ago, and it wasn't like within hours after several vodka sodas, I was able to whip together a really awesome website. And if you're interested in checking that out, and if you're interested in seeing that website, go to SheratonsFlight.org. This is a website dedicated to my late son, Sheridan Trussell, who unfortunately drifted away on some balloons that I thought would be funny to tie to him and did not do the right calculations for weight of baby versus the power of the balloons. Anyway, it's an awareness website, and I was able to make this on, I think, at least 3, maybe 4 vodka sodas at like 3 a.m. And it just did it. The AI was basically like the friend who like drives you home. It just did it. It helped me. It's incredible. You got to try them out. Squarespace is awesome. So if you're thinking about starting a website, give Squarespace a try. Head over to squarespace.com/Duncan, and you can try it out for free. And when you're ready to launch, use offer code Duncan. You'll get 10% off your first order of a website or a domain. Again, that's squarespace.com/Duncan. Use offer code Duncan to get 10% off your first order of a website or a domain. Thank you, Squarespace. You know, I like doing, as I said, et cetera means comparative religion. I was in there, but I think a lot about Buddhism and Christianity these days, and trying to find some kind of where are the connecting points. And so in Christianity, the way you're there's going to be this growing recognition of what I would, I guess, like what you might call the most beautiful thing ever. Just incredible. Like, if there's kings and queens and royalty and fame, and you've had some experience with what you thought was the most high-tech, cutting-edge thing. When you brush shoulders with, what people would call like the Holy Spirit or Christ consciousness or whatever it may be, when it somehow like gets through the cracks. And you get some sense of like, not only is this the most beautiful thing I've ever encountered, but it seems to be like directly interested in me as I am. Like it doesn't seem to be rejecting me at all. And yet just some sense of it at all gives me a feeling of like, God, I'm so fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm so fucked up. Like, and you, because maybe you've been doing a very good job at rationalizing your selfishness. You know what I mean? Maybe you've, as many of us have, you think that you've decided your self-interest there's something spectacular about the way you've been living your life, which is always putting you and thoughts about yourself and your importance and what you need is the nucleus of everything.
Yeah.
Even in the negative.
Yeah.
And suddenly you just start realizing like, I'm so self-absorbed. Everything. It's always, even if I'm not making it about me, it's about me, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everything I do, I'm thinking, what do I get out of this?
And that's what stand-up can do, or like being in the industry. You want to talk about like corrosive stuff. You know what I mean? On that side of it.
Yeah. It's or capitalism, just transactionalism.
Yeah.
And then there's suddenly this sense of like, that is not the road to happiness at all. This self-serving attitude has not been doing anything for me at all. And then anyway, the point is, I think the beginning phase is a sense of like, for lack of a better word, like shame or guilt. It's like in the same way, like if you step on dog shit, or God help you get on your hand, like you need to smell it and not like the smell. It's gonna get you to the grass or whatever technique you use to get dog shit off of your shoe.
Yeah.
So that initial sort of awareness, it's identified in Buddhism too. You start meditating and you just have to deal with all the decisions you've made that suck.
Yeah.
And there is no lipstick on the fish. There's
snow on the cow shit.
No snow on the cow shit.
Yeah.
But where Christianity addresses this is by saying, that's everybody.
Everybody feels.
Everybody, you can't be perfect in the world. You're not going to be perfect in the world. There is no, whatever standard you've been holding yourself to.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you've done. That Aaron was telling me.
And that's the thing of that we're all kind of born a sinner. A little bit.
And sin apparently means missing the mark. So.
That's so beautiful. That's so neutral.
Yeah. Yeah. So that and then it's not like, okay, so go flog your back or like go beat yourself up or go torture yourself or do like, Carrie, like what her mom was doing, that kind of insane shit.
Yeah.
But rather recognize you are contending with the exact same thing everyone's contending with.
Yeah.
And then maybe you can find a way to be kinder to people around you.
Yeah.
Regardless of what side of the political spectrum they fall on, because everybody's dealing with this insane predicament.
Yeah. You ever go to AA or any 12-step type of
Sure.
thing? Yeah. It's just because it's a similar, when people get in a room and they get up and they talk about like the worst shit they ever did, and everybody's like, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
That's it.
It's so good. We should do that just for everybody, I think. But then I'm saying that as an addict, where I'm like, I think people need that, but maybe they don't. Maybe just addicts need it.
No, I think wherever, what's really sad is this, what we call the puritanical attitude.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to actually align with politics in the way I once thought. I used to think the puritanical attitude was a purely conservative way of being. Sex negative, squares, who hate Dungeons and Dragons and and goths or whatever and drugs.
You hate what they did to Dungeons and Dragons.
It's funny and awful. But then you realize, like, oh my God, when you look at the puritanical attitude of like people who are like excoriating podcasters for being Nazis, for saying the wrong thing, you realize that, oh my fucking God, though the like what is being judged is different, the attitude is the same thing that I recoiled at when I realized I was being judged by somebody who thought they were better than me because they went to fucking church, and that I did drugs and love psychedelics and like it was not going to wait for marriage to have sex. And you realize, though, the data set is completely different. The attitude, condescending, exclusionary, judgmental, and manipulative, and also weirdly missionary in intent. The shunning, all of that. You realize, oh my God, if there is a spirit of evil in the world, that's what it fucking looks like. Not the data set. The data set, whatever they're upset about, some legitimate things. The mechanism of reproach is so fucking identical.
I hear you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
And so this is why this sort of concept that the Pope is talking about and you hear about in Christianity is so, I think why there's some kind of bizarre Christian resurgence happening is because it's a great antidote, because it isn't saying everyone's right. Everyone's right. We should pretend everyone's right. We should pretend there's no transgressions. We should pretend that there aren't people who've done legitimate harm in the world.
Yeah.
But rather, first step, recognize they're like you, you're like them, and find a compassionate way of dealing with that.
To live on earth together.
And how the fuck can you do that if you haven't forgiven yourself or found some way to get forgiveness? How can you forgive anybody if you still hate yourself?
And people who miss the mark, as you say, the farthest, and then come back to self-love somehow, and that's a long journey, I think. Those are the nicest people, usually. Those are the most trustworthy people. It's like what you're talking about with the priest. You want someone who's lived a hard life, who's done the wrong thing. And that's who you want to talk to. You know, that's who I want to talk to.
But also the idea that like priests just were born priests. Like I'm pretty sure a lot of priests like
were born babies. I'm pretty sure a lot of them were born babies.
That is not true. That's why it's very dangerous if you have like that. Maybe that's why they can't have sex, because their babies are always priests, and that will destroy a mama.
Oh, little priest baby, when you ting on it, and it's a baby.
You know, it's cool that you've been thinking. It's interesting. I guess I didn't realize that was happening.
That I've been thinking about religion?
Organized religion.
It's just because I'm around this Catholic family all the time, who are just the friends that I've made in Austin.
Me too. I'm around a Catholic family.
Yeah, you're fucking own Catholic family.
I'm around. They're all Catholic now except me.
Because you are who you're around. You know, because the people are all we have. That's the thing, Duncan. That's why I'm thinking about so critically. That's a big part of why I'm like questioning my whole life and career and whatever, is because in the 3 years that I've like strayed from home in pursuit of like stand up or whatever, the only thing that I give a shit about after all of it is just the people that I've met. And it's not enough to keep me in Texas, you know what I mean? Or wherever. It doesn't even, or New York or Massachusetts or like the weird places that I've gone, you know what I mean? Like all that I've gotten out of it are these people that and I love them, these people that I've met. You know what I mean? I love them so much, and I wish they all lived in the same goddamn town with Elliott Smith in the cave.
Yeah.
But they don't, you know? And so you end up, I'm questioning, like, I think people are just the only thing, you know? Yeah. And so I've been thinking about organized religion, which is so fucking random, but it's just because, the people who are my community right now happen to be Catholic, you know? And so that's the lens by which they view the world, and I love them so much that I want to look through their lens, you know?
Well, look, judge a tree by the fruit. You know, I let me tell you, there is like, the way my brain works is I just have to accept things as they are, regardless of how like much that kind of like fucks with my head. And I can't deny like every encounter I've had with people in our community, people who like go to the Vatican hang out with cardinals and stuff, and is completely the opposite of what I thought they were going to be like.
Yeah.
And I'm having to deal
they're
with
smart and charismatic
and sweet.
Yeah.
And really like real sweet and like and not like some kind of like trick that you might experience if you were getting like recruited into something that doesn't feel like that. There's no love bombing happening either. There's none of the classic cult signs. That's just this like loosely connected group of people, some of them more connected than others, who have like found this philosophy they're all sort of aligning on that's really old.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I am having to contend with that a little bit in my own head, because it's like it's so beautiful. And I have to, I might have to eat shit a little bit, because
what do you mean?
Well, because I think of all forms of Christianity, the one that I've been most judgmental of is Catholicism, for no reason at all, other than what we all for reasons, because we all hear about like the child abuse shit.
Yeah.
And pretty much anything that's hurting kids, it's like I'm out. Yeah. But then obviously that is not like doctrine that, and I've talked to like Catholics, and they hate it, and their explanation of why is so brilliant, that isn't what I thought, which isn't the repressed priest thing, but more in line with like, this is what happens when power imbalances are happening inside of the structure of Catholicism, where people are not, or like have too much power. And I don't know why. Yeah. I don't know why, but yeah, what the fuck? Why are these Catholics? What's going on with these Catholics being all nice? You want to see something that'll make you cry? Did you see the
pull up the sex robot.
This is actually.
When's that going to stop being funny?
Pull up the sex robot that cries when you break up. Pull
up the one that jacks off when you break up.
Pull up like Pope. I don't know why I went on a Pope kick. It was on Reddit. Pope answers question.
You love Reddit.
Pull up kid who loses son. Or kid who lost his dad. Ask Pope a question. This fucking.
I'm not allowed on Reddit anymore.
What?
I've decided that.
This one?
Little boy asked Pope Francis, is my dad in heaven? This will fucking kill you.
Those with Robin Hood gold.
What? What's up with the Robin Hood commercials? They're so weird. Remember when they robbed us? The beginning part they cut out, which is the kid wouldn't go up there. He was just crying and he couldn't ask the question.
Faith. In 2018, a shy 8-year-old boy named Emmanuel Balderi met Pope Francis. And in that moment, something extraordinary happened. Something that would shape his soul forever. Now, at 16, Emanuele vividly recalls the embrace, the words of comfort, and the incredible bond he shared with the pontiff.
This is going to be amazing if he's in jail.
The children of Rome's Corviale
From jail, he told us what it was like.
Emanuele stood at the microphone, too overcome with emotion.
Just play what the kid did. We don't need the narration. What the fuck? Why is there always some dude who ruins everything?
In that
nobody needs it. Get out of there, man. Find the other one.
But then when it came time to ask the question, I felt a strong anguish.
No, go with the actual Pope talking about. I mean, no offense, that is the kid when he's older, but like, Jesus, who edited that shit? There, Pope gives USA Today. God damn it. Why is there always somebody who's... A boy in a blue shirt is sitting here. You can see his hand as it moves in front of his face. He walks to the microphone.
Self-insertion.
This is so sad.
Aww.
He's worried his papa isn't in heaven because he's an atheist. Technically, your papa's nowhere based on your papa's philosophy.
Don't you? Little boy. Oh.
I know. Killed me. Okay, so the Pope is saying a short time. Okay, go back a little bit, Josh. You're not helping this, man. Never felt more. I asked Emmanuel permission to repeat his question in public, and he said yes. But he said, please put piano music to it. So I'll say it out loud. A short time ago, my dad died. Papa.
That's gay for father.
He was an atheist, but he had all 4 of his children baptized. He was a good man. Is my dad in heaven?
The violin. This is so hard to take.
What a beautiful thing that his son says of his father. He was good. That man gave a beautiful testimony to his children. For his children to be able to say he was a good man. But unfortunately, his father is burning in hell. I mean, up until that point, it was great. But why? It's so sad he said that, though. I mean, what the fuck? Really? Are you kidding? No, obviously he said that, like, obviously you know what he said. But, you know.
What did he say? He said that.
Keep playing. I'm sorry. Keep playing. I just feel weird.
Don't
the
feel
violin's killing me. That he has inherited. It's a beautiful thing that he's inherited the strength of his dad, and also that he has the courage to cry before all of us. If that man was capable of raising children like this, it's true. He was a good man. He was a good man. God is the one who decides who goes to heaven. But how does God's heart react to a dad like that? How? What do you think? To an audience interaction. A dad's heart, God has the heart of a father, and faced with a dad, a non-believer, who is able to have his children baptized and to give them that courage. Do you think that God would be capable of leaving him far from him? Do you think so? No. See, this is a problem. Okay, that's beautiful, but I do have a problem with this where I'm just going like, you know.
Because it's just the baptized thing?
No, it's like, couldn't God have, like, maybe killed his dad?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's God's plan. And then they're always like,
that's where
God's
that
plan.
I mean, like, there's got to be a part of you. You know, like Sarah Silverman used to have this great joke, which is like,
she has so many great God jokes.
Make-A-Wish kids.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Well, how did it go? How did that joke go? Like,
I don't know.
Make-A-Wish kids. I mean, well, there is one wish.
There is one wish.
So fucked up.
Why'd you have to call it that? Oh, yeah. She goes, it should have been called Make a Different Wish.
Oh, yeah. But, you know, I guess, like, to me, Ruby, I'm so, like, I don't, like, I'm an orphan. Like, both of my parents are dead.
Yeah.
And, well, now I have a family.
Yeah.
But anytime I go chasing after some place, that place minus the community that you're talking about, it's just like a set.
Do you worry? I worry about, like, the wound, like the dad-shaped hole or whatever, the thing you're talking about, the orphan wound, and you go running into the world, and I think that it tricks you, and it can trick you over and over and over again, and it's like tricks you with, like, you're filling it with alcohol, or you're filling it with, you're smoking all the time, or stand up, unfortunately, like stand up, you know what I mean? But like you can treat anything in your life badly if you're using it to distract yourself from your big old orphan hole. You know what I mean? Like, it's so scary. It's this thing. I feel like I've tricked myself over and over again into the thing that actually isn't for me. I'm just looking for authority.
What if it's not your dad, though?
No, my dad or whatever. But
what
like
if it isn't a dad-shaped hole?
Yeah.
Well, that's the other trick, isn't it? The other trick is you want an explanation.
Yeah.
For the
like
suffering.
A narrative,
The story. You find a reason that this neurosis exists.
Yeah.
And then if you have that reason, you know, it's a less of a chaotic world. But, oh my God.
Yeah.
What if that's not it at all?
Yeah.
Do you ever think about, I mean, not to say that, like, clearly these where we crystallize as humans and those, but
well, that's the thing with like that we're saying with, I guess that's what I've been thinking about recently, because with Catholicism, that's the thing of like when you're born, it's just that's the tumble and all the mistakes you were made just because you had to be born. So you know what I mean? And all the wounds that you have are just the wounds that happen when you fall out of the ethereal heaven or whatever and have to be on earth with the dirt and the bugs and the capitalism and the presidents and the knives and the blood.
Yeah.
And then so inevitably you get wounded no matter, and some wounds are bigger than others.
Take up your cross.
Take up your cross.
That I think is a real divergent point between Buddhism and Christianity, is that whereas Buddhism kind of deconstructs the identity, so you really realize like it's not a dad size hole, it's a universe size hole that you've confused with. but whereas with Christianity, that's where they just split, because Christianity is like, no, just forget about, like, it's not about the whole. It's about the soul. It's about Jesus. It's about connecting to that
the back
energy.
Of a car. It's not about the whole. It's about the soul.
It's not the size of the hole. It's the size of the soul. You're the best. Thanks for coming on here.
Yes.
And you must not stop doing stand-up. You're so funny. You got any, have you been headlining a little bit, Ruby? You got any shows coming up?
I was not right now. I need to figure out I need to do that. But I just had I had the Don't Tell set come out. So that's cool.
Where is it? Where can
it's
people
just
see
on
it?
YouTube. The Don't Tell took footage of me that is very nicely lit and sounds nice, and it's 7 minutes.
Oh my God.
Good stand-up.
That is so great. All the links you need to find it will be at DougAndTrussell.com. Come see us in Seattle. You can see Ruby live, and she's brilliantly funny. And thank you so much for coming on the show. All right. That was Ruby Setnik. Everybody, all the links you need to find her will be at DougAndTrussell.com, or just do a Google search. Remember, if you want commercial-free episodes of the DTFH, all you have to do is become a member. And if you're listening to this, go to patreon.com/DTFH for commercial-free episodes. I got to get out of here now. Goodbye.